And here we are with another episode of The Exchange on WGH Talk, and this is going to be a fun episode, as you can see by the guests we have lined up. This is a group I don't think we've ever had together in the history of doing these programs on radio and on television. So this is a group to have for a lot of significant reasons. We've got Matt Morgan, of course, along with us, as he is each and every week. And we're so glad to have the 40th Treasurer of the United States, Mary Ellen Withrow, with us. Always a pleasure and an honor. And Fran Voll, who I just taped an episode with, regaling his life and times. Great basketball coach, women's team in college. We talked about his days as the principal of Marian Catholic High School and all kinds of other interesting things, political ambitions that he had at one point in his life. So check out that episode. Search Fran Voll, Scott Spears, and you should be able to get that episode. Now, here is an interesting tie. We are in this building right now. This building was once Marian General Hospital, and it was once City Hall. Mary Ellen has said before that she had some of her children in this hospital. Mm-hmm. Fran was born in this hospital Christmas Day, 81 years ago, and has not been back since until today.
I don't think so.
So isn't that interesting that here... Now, Mary Ellen, Fran was telling us about, of course, he doesn't remember being born here, but he was born here, of course. But what was this like when you were having your kids here, this hospital?
I just had one here.
Just one here?
Yeah, and then the rest were born at the other hospital. Well, I remember... my dad was standing out looking up. I was on the second floor. That's where the maternity ward was. And my dad couldn't come up for some reason. I don't know why. But he wanted to see the baby, and he was down on the ground. And Norman was there, and yeah.
So it was
exciting. We were very excited.
And that was your first kid?
Yeah.
So that was
Linda.
That was Linda. Linda, yeah. I thought, yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting that these things... I was talking with Fran earlier about this building. I'm not sure exactly what year this building was built. That it's remained in this good shape to me after being all these different things is kind of shocking. I don't think it's ever been closed.
It is amazing that, City Hall... I mean, think about it. The hospital and then City Hall. It's amazing.
It's seen a lot of wear and tear, but it keeps on going and still a very nice building. Fran, for those who didn't happen to see the episode, you were born here, right in this building.
Yes, I was.
Yeah. Christmas Day. What's it like to share your birthday with Christmas? We didn't talk about that.
Well, it's okay.
It's okay.
It's a real honor to be born on Christmas Day.
And here you are, and here we are. So, what I want to talk about is Fran was Marian Catholic High School principal when Mary Ellen was Treasurer of the United States. What was that like to have somebody from Marian be the Treasurer of the United States while you're the principal of a high school here?
Well,
I don't know if you were still the treasurer. Were you at that time?
What time was it?
I came back here in 01.
Yeah, I left in January of 01.
Okay, so we just had a period of time there, probably.
A short period of time.
A short period of time.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I was marveled at the fact that we had somebody of her stature in Marion that was in Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
And you did a lot of work with high school kids when you were...
I did.
Yeah.
Actually, when I became county treasurer, I saw that the schools got their money right away. That had been a problem. And, we were very... the next day we'd turn it over to them. And then when I was state treasurer, I had this thing with the schools where, they could save money for college with the state colleges, mm-hmm. And I visited all the state college presidents, mm-hmm. And we had this program for people to save money for going to college, and we raised over $1 million. Yeah.
You know, and I also think about another connection, Fran being the principal at Marian Catholic and also working at Bowling Green for those years as the women's basketball coach. Mary Ellen started on the school board at Elgin, so had a tie. What do you make of education in 2025? What do you make of it, Fran?
Well, it's kind of scary in a way because it changes so fast and so furious, and you really don't know what's coming up, what's next. You know, they throw things out that you just learn a little bit about, and before you know it, there's something else. So the kids are really in a interesting time to grasp all this and do whatever they're going to do with it. I don't know if that's always a known factor.
What was the biggest challenge you faced from the kids when you were the principal at Marian Catholic?
You know, I don't know. They're kids, and they had a lot of things that were concerning to them, and you had to be careful because you may overlook some of the things that you needed to think about, and a lot of it had to do with their personalities and their feelings and you know, their interactions among themselves and with their folks and other people, and they were just learning, you know, to do those things.
Mary Ellen, when you were on the school board, what challenges were the kids facing in those days?
Well, we had a big deal about what they were wearing. I remember that. All of a sudden, it was very concerning. They were wearing flags.
Oh.
And so we said they couldn't wear flags. And then the hair came up, and we had that problem. And it doesn't seem to be a problem anymore.
No, the rules have changed on that.
Yes.
They're a little different. What do you make of education in 2025 right now?
Well, you know, I'm sort of out of touch with it. All I know is how my great-grandchildren are doing. They're still in school, and they're doing very well, and they're enjoying it, and it's evidently going okay for them. So that's all I know.
Matt, you're 21, not too far removed from high school. What are your memories? What were the things you faced in high school that might have been difficult for students?
I don't know that there were a lot of things I faced that were difficult for students. I mean, there were a lot of, like, River Valley was, they always, I don't know if they were broke. At the very least, they always pretended to be broke. So they, like a lot of the after-school programs we had and things like that were, like, I was in the VEX program, and then the teacher who was in charge of the VEX program, most of the things that we had to make those robots with, he paid for out of pocket. And, like, the competitions, he paid for us to go to the competitions. The school didn't provide any funding for that. So I think that had to be probably the biggest thing, was just lack of after-school activity funding kind of stuff.
You know, Fran, when you're the principal of a school, how much does money, how often is money on your mind? Has to be on there somewhat.
Too much.
Yeah. Yeah, I would guess. Probably comes up a lot.
It's got to be something to do with money, doesn't it?
Everything's got a little touch with money.
Yes,
Everything touches money
Yes,
at some point. Mary Ellen, were there any conversations on the school board about finances?
Oh, my goodness.
That's where it was, huh?
That is where it was. I remember we raised the teachers' pay, and they were paid the most in the county at the time I was on the board, but I don't think that's the case anymore. Yeah.
It's interesting how much, because I think there is a big discussion, there certainly is in 2025, about how much schools need to operate efficiently, especially public schools. And I don't know. I don't know. This is a debate, and it's certainly going on right now with the Department of Education.
Yeah.
Fran, what do you make of where we are? Do you think it's going to turn out okay? Do people have it right at this point?
I think it's always progress in the making. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think there's so much coming at them, the kids today, and the teachers for sure, in the schools. You know, that sometimes it's a mismatch or whatever, hodgepodge of what do I do and what priorities do I put to it.
Yeah. Mary Ellen, you think we're going to be okay at the end of this? Do you think everything has a cycle?
Well, I don't know. the Department of Education is in a turmoil right now. I mean, I don't know how it's going to end. I don't know how anything's going to end, if you want to know the honest opinion.
Well, I think I heard today. What was it? The Supreme Court said that the administration could cut well over 1,000 jobs from the Department of Education.
Is that right?
Yeah. So I think here we are. I don't.
But they're supposed to be doing away with the whole thing and turning it over to the states, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that's good?
I don't think that they're going to be able to coordinate things quite as good as they should be able to.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about 50 states.
Yeah.
Is California going to be so much different than
Yes.
Illinois, or you know what I'm saying?
That's right.
That's
yeah.
a concern I have. Is the simultaneous things that they had to do before, whether it be student loans or whatever it might have been, that could become a real problem.
Well, the Department of Education, it's a very interesting idea that if the state sets the curriculum, that's just one issue. If the state sets the curriculum, if the, let's say a state that doesn't do very well scoring-wise, sets the curriculum low, and that's passing, and another state that tends to do well sets the curriculum high and more difficult, are these kids going to be able to compete? I mean, we're still one country in different areas. I think that would be very difficult to do.
Will they have the expertise to set a curriculum?
And who does it? I mean, does each state is that a commission? Is that an appointed group?
A lot of things come down from Washington as far as what needs to be done in that regards. I know in the public schools.
Yeah.
Well, who would run it in the state? It would be the state school board?
I would have to think so.
Yeah.
Well, and that becomes a very important position. Not that it's already not, but boy, that would be a really important position.
Yeah, it really would. I mean, it wouldn't be any other group of people.
I don't think so.
Is that right? Yeah.
I think it would boil down to those people.
Yeah.
And the other thing about it that's kind of strange is that I'm not exactly sure who would set, like Fran said, these college loans. I mean, that has always been garnered from the Department of Education. And a lot of the grants, the processing goes through there. So I'm not sure who takes that over at this particular point. It's kind of a gray area we're in right now.
You know, there's an awful lot of things to be considered. And there, you just don't realize until you're on a school board.
Yeah. You know, and it's very interesting that so much of this does come down to money. When we had open enrollment in Marion, Fran and I were talking about this. When open enrollment came in, that drastically changed.
Yeah.
A town with with 5 school districts, I guess a county we should say, with 5 school districts, and all of a sudden you could send your kid anywhere with really no fee involved. That's a problem when you're funding the schools with property tax. Because if I live in Marion City School District and I send my kid to River Valley, I'm probably not going to vote for the school levy that's going to raise my property tax because I don't even have a child who goes there. That's not the right attitude to have, but that does seem to be the prevailing wisdom. So that decision, however it came down for open enrollment, Fran, what do you think the repercussions of that have been in Marion County?
I think it's probably hurt some curriculums. Maybe it's I want to do this this year, and maybe next year I'll do that, and whatever. I think this is a problem. I don't know how much stability you have, knowing that as far as your numbers and whatever else is involved. I think before you could plan a lot better than you can now, for sure.
Mary Ellen, what do you make of open enrollment in general? You can send your kid anywhere you want.
Well, I think there's some very good things about it. And they're still able to do that, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you know, when we were waiting to go into River Valley, there's an enormous number of kids who were going into River Valley while we were sitting there. I couldn't get over it. I mean, they weren't on a bus. Their parents were bringing them.
And that's an
Yeah.
interesting thing that you bring that up, because last time I checked, the only school in Marion County that still has a growing population is River Valley.
Is that right?
River Valley.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not the biggest, but biggest overall. Marion City still is the biggest.
Uh-huh.
But it has a growing
Yeah.
population.
Yeah.
Well, and you have Ridgedale that maybe might be the smallest. And
Yeah.
how does that affect them in relationship to what can they do? Is that going to be beneficial or no? I don't know that.
Well, now it's become, what can you do to attract kids? What kind of school can you be? What kind of programs can you offer? And I'll tell you who's probably even been the bigger beneficiary than River Valley of this, for whatever reason, has been Tri-Rivers. With their Ramtech program, and more and more and more kids are headed to Tri-Rivers now than ever before, and they also got that enormous amount of money from the state not too long ago when Governor DeWine came down. So they're doing pretty good here in Marion.
Well, they are, and I think that's a real plus for the community.
Yeah, Tri-Rivers has definitely always been a plus.
No
Yeah,
question.
they are. You know, the man that began at Tri-Rivers is at Primrose, Charlie. And I don't know his last name, but he's so sweet.
He's out there.
Yes, he is, yeah.
Matt, what was the talk of Tri-Rivers when you were in high school just a few years ago?
I don't know. We like the ag, or I don't know if it's the ag kids, but we have they send people to like competitions and things like that based on like they compete with other technical schools, I guess. And Tri-Rivers always places really well in that. The kid we had that got sent in auto tech, I think he came in second place. I don't know what all the others did, but auto at the very least did pretty good. So, but I know that Ramtech usually does good, and same thing with the I don't know what they call it now. They changed the names so much of the programs, but interactive media it was called when I was there, and they always did well.
Well, I want to talk about this. Mary Ellen brought it up when we came in, and this is really becoming a big story, fun story to talk about. And I'm going to read it right off the paper. It's a nearly 50-year-old mystery. Who killed Jimmy Hoffa? Where is his body? A trio of people has come forward claiming to have the answer. Investigative reporter Scott Bernstein, retired federal prosecutor Richard Convertino, and former mobster turned informant Nove Toko say they are going to reveal their findings at a presentation on July 3rd at Macomb Community College in Michigan, right up the road. Bernstein is a longtime Detroit journalist and crime historian. The event's website says the trio will host an 80-minute presentation that will include the actual name of the person who killed Jimmy Hoffa. Never before seen photos from the FBI investigative files, and a 40-minute Q&A session. The Detroit News asked Bernstein why he hasn't alerted the FBI with his new information. He told them that the agency already knows. They might not come out and say it, but the FBI has come to the same conclusion we have, Bernstein told the News. And by the way, Jimmy Hoffa disappeared in Michigan at a restaurant in the parking lot. That's the last time he was seen, 50 years ago this month, July 30th, 1975. And no body, and no crime, and no, we don't know. But we're going to find out, Fran, here in a week.
I used to drive through there, recruiting, and I often wondered which overpass could tell
Which one he's in.
which one he's in.
Fran, for obviously you remember Jimmy Hoffa. What do you remember about this guy, larger than life, and still 50 years after his death is getting attention?
Well, everybody has their own bag, don't they?
Though they do, they got their own thing. But Jimmy Hoffa was a powerful person.
He really was. It was really a strong union in those days, wasn't it, Mary Ellen?
Mary Ellen, we talked a little bit about it last week, but you said you attended meetings that Jimmy Hoffa was at.
I was at his, where he was one time,
And when he got up and spoke, those guys...
Yeah, but I didn't hear him speak. I wasn't there when he spoke. But, I would have liked to have heard him spoke. Yeah.
When he spoke, those guys, when you see that footage, they are with him on every word. They would have followed him into the ocean.
That was a very strong leadership situation.
And I'm going to come to Matt on this in a second, but what I want this is the last, I was thinking about this, it's the last great mystery. Now, we truly have conspiracies. You know, we can say who killed JFK and did the moon landing happen and all these things people conspiracy theory about. This is not a conspiracy theory. Jimmy Hoffa was killed. We know that. But we don't know what happened to him. And we 50 years later, Fran, how could somebody so well known be killed and we never find out what happens to the man?
There's been a lot of stories written about it.
Yes, for years and years.
Years and years. Every year.
And I hear that the tickets for this are $50 and they're selling. People still want to know 50 years later.
Yeah, I want to know.
Yeah, I mean, people want to know what happened to this man.
Yeah.
What do you make of this, Matt? There have been movies. Jack Nicholson was Hoffa in the big movie years ago.
I've heard the name, but honestly, I've never heard of the actual the whole situation there. Yeah. So
Well, here's what light I can shed on this.
Okay.
I had this Bernstein. Is that his name? I'm gonna make sure I get his name right. Yeah, Bernstein. Scott Bernstein on my show last week, and we talked about this. Now, here's what he says. Obviously, he wasn't going to give me the answers on where Jimmy Hoffa's buried or who killed him, but he did say this. Now, I found this fascinating, and people can go listen to this. It's on the website if they want to hear this interview. But he said that they're not going to produce a body, but they're going to tell you what happened to him, where he is. You know, if it's a wood chipper, if it's a concrete slab.
I think it's concrete.
They're going to tell you where he is and why, and why they believe he's there.
Which overpass?
Which overpass he's in, which stadium he's in. But they're going to tell you this, but they are going to name, and it's one person who they feel gave the order to kill him. And what's fascinating is in the interview, he wouldn't tell me if the person was dead or alive.
Oh.
This person might still be alive. And I said, man, if he's alive...
What happens to him?
Yeah, he's going to get a lot of phone calls the next day once he gets...
he better hide.
Once he gets the finger pointed at him.
Oh, boy.
So here we go. One guy they're going to name.
Yeah.
That's interesting to me.
But he was at this restaurant. And then... Did he disappear from the restaurant? Did he leave the restaurant?
Apparently, he called his wife, and he was supposed to meet somebody there, and he said they didn't show up for the meeting, and he was going home for dinner.
Oh,
and that's the last
I saw.
But at a restaurant, how did nobody see anything?
Maybe in the parking lot.
Maybe he must have got him in the parking lot. It's strange, though. I mean, Fran, can you think of any other mystery that has went on this long with no answer? I can't think of anything.
No, I don't think you can.
locally or just in general?
In general. I mean,
Jack the Ripper. Jack the Ripper.
Who?
Jack the Ripper.
Jack the Ripper? Well,
That was like Victorian England.
You like that story?
yeah. But I'm
Been around a minute.
Yeah, but I want to. This is my. I mean, people had cameras in 1975. there were television cameras. I mean, I'm just so shocked that in Michigan, Jimmy Hoffa at a restaurant could just disappear and nobody knows anything for 50 years.
Well, you know, the unions, people were shot all the time,
Oh, yeah.
and I mean that was common practice.
There wasn't a lot of kind people.
No. When they wanted to do away with you, they knew how to do it. But you know what's interesting to me about this is that Jimmy Hoffa, I would have guessed, would have had to have known this person, or you would have heard some kind of scuttle. I don't think he thought he was going to be killed. I wouldn't guess. Or you would have seen some kind of screaming or something, or a gunshot in the parking lot.
I would have thought he would have had some accompanying people.
Security.
with him. Security.
Yeah. I mean, at that time, people were after him. He wasn't on the good side of people.
So you think it was more than one person?
I think it was one person, but I think he knew the person.
Well,
I think he would have had to.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it has something to do with the mob, seeing as there's a mobster involved in this. So I would assume that, I don't know if it was, I mean, one person might have given the order, but it might have been like a group of guys who actually carried it out.
Well, you got to figure it's the mob or the Teamsters.
Did Dr. Shepard actually kill his wife?
Well, you know,
There's another one, isn't
Yeah.
it? Now that's a good one to bring up.
Now
too.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
I interviewed F. Lee Bailey, who was his attorney,
Yeah.
and got him out of prison. He was in prison here in
No, the
Marion,
Lane
of
by the
Fame.
way.
Yeah,
Right.
I know.
Right.
Right?
And, you know, F. Lee Bailey claimed he was innocent.
He did.
So, and his son, who I believe is still alive, was the only other person in the house that night when Marilyn Shepard was killed, Sam Reese Shepard. I've talked to him, and he believes his father was innocent. So, but I guess we don't know. He might have done it. Ruined his life.
He might have done it.
Yeah.
Ruined his life. Yeah, I mean, now, you guys were both around during that as well. Fran, that story, that was big-time stuff.
I remember being pretty young when that took place in Cleveland, and of course then you had the killing of the young girl in Colorado.
Oh, John Benet Ramsey.
Yes.
Oh my!
Oh, I know
that's
that
another
name.
one.
That's
yeah.
another one that's
yeah.
still out there.
Yeah.
But the thing to me is, what's different about the Hoffa story, for me, is that John Benet Ramsey and Sam Shepard, when Sam allegedly killed his wife, and when John Benet disappeared, they were not nationally known people. Jimmy Hoffa was.
Yeah.
That's what's so odd
That's
to me,
true.
that he could be nabbed in a parking lot. That just, whoop, there he goes. And nobody ever sees it. I would have thought in 50 years somebody would have heard the story and snitched this thing out.
Well, you thought a newspaper man would have been around, ready to take a picture of something.
Yeah, that they would follow him around. I mean, he certainly was getting a lot of press
He
in
was
that.
that big.
Yeah, in 75. So that's why this story has always fascinated people, I think, is that how could somebody completely disappear like that?
What happened to the unions in general? It seemed like union fervor has just kind of died.
Well, they're still around somewhat.
They're around somewhat. They're not as powerful as
No.
they were.
No.
They used to be a big help in the Democratic Party, and yeah,
Now they've...
now they're not so visible. Yeah.
Well, that I think had a lot to do with companies going overseas, and
I think that did have a lot to
Sure
do with
did.
it. Yeah.
that would break your unions up.
Yeah.
Unions had a
Yeah.
lot of power. Unions had a lot of power in Marion. I mean, people will remember the Tecumseh strikes that were not the most pleasant things in the world. I mean, people got hurt in those strikes if you tried to cross a picket line.
Somewhat of a turning point for our town.
It really was. It really was. I remember one morning with no preparation, I just opened up the phone lines and asked people what do they remember about Tecumseh. And I had people who worked there call in. I had people who just remembered it, who were living in the town. That was such a horrific event.
Really.
And not so much that they left, they did, but that those strikes and that people were getting beat up who were crossing the picket line, and that Tecumseh would not budge on this, and it was very, very ugly. It was an ugly situation for certain. I mean, we came around it, thank goodness.
Yeah, strikes are vicious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you don't hear though that to that degree now. You wouldn't.
Well, we don't have anything right around here that has been on strike, but I'll bet those that
do.
were in California were tough.
Yeah. It just seems now a lot of times that they hire professional negotiators now to come in
Yeah.
if it gets late in the run.
You know, we did that in our school board.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it was a waste of money.
Oh, really?
Absolute waste of money.
Didn't
I'm surprised, Marilyn, you didn't take care of that.
step in there and fix that problem.
If
If I had it to do again, I'd take care of it. Yeah, because that was no good.
I think you would have been a very good negotiator for both sides.
Oh, good.
Good.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. What was the issue when the negotiators came?
I'm trying to remember. It's vaguely left me right now.
No, but isn't that interesting?
I'll think about it tonight and I'll come up with it.
Come up with nothing. It's always the way, though. The problem becomes forgettable,
Yeah.
but you remember everything that went wrong along the way when you had a problem like that.
That's
so
right.
it's very, very interesting how that all goes. Fran, you were here, of course, when unions were big. Why do you think they're not as big as they once were?
Well, I think it became a power struggle. You know, who was going to be boss, and you know, things were happening fast and furious with our economy and so on and so forth. And unfortunately, I think both sides got out of line.
Yeah, it happened, and we did what we did. We got one more segment to go with Fran and Mary Ellen, and we're having a good time here. So we'll be back for our final segment tonight after this short but important time. Hey, this is Scott Spears with Matt Morgan, 40th President of the United States, Mary Ellen Withrow, and former wrestling referee Fred Feeney. Surviving OSU on HBO Max right now. #1 documentary in the country. My goodness, it's the Ohio State scandal, and it's a great documentary. You've got to see it. Fred, in the documentary, you talk about Jim Jordan and his connection to this whole situation. What can you tell our viewers about this?
I know that they know.
Matt, what do you make of this?
I think it's rather unsettling, and I think Ohio State should try to do something to fix it at this point.
Mary Ellen, how do you feel about the whole thing?
I think he knows.
And there you go.
Yeah.
I know he knows.
Yeah.
And we're back for our final segment this week. Matt Morgan, 40th Treasurer of the United States, Mary Ellen Withrow, and longtime Marion resident Fran Voll, and we're having an interesting discussion here about a whole lot of different things all over the place. Jimmy Hoffa, history of Marion. I wanted to bring this up because it's been in the news this week, and I just want to get some thoughts, not so much about what it is, but why this has become such a big thing. The Epstein list.
Oh, yes.
I mean, it's constant. You can't
Yes.
turn on the television now without
Well-
being bombarded with this. Mary Ellen, and we'll come to Matt and Fran. Mary Ellen, why is this list so important to people? A list that apparently doesn't exist.
Well, I'm wondering the same thing. I mean, I'm wondering who's on the list because, you know, they've said various people that are on the list. And why is everybody so upset about it? I don't know.
Do you think there's an actual list?
I don't know. They've mentioned different people, and I mean, their names have been mentioned. So wouldn't you think that they would be on the list?
I heard Alan Dershowitz talk about this, and he was Epstein's lawyer at one point.
Yeah.
And he said there was no list, but there were flight logs about people who had been
Flew with him.
flew
Yeah.
with him.
Yeah.
But that really wouldn't incriminate
No.
anybody
No.
just to be on his plane.
But
So-
why were they on the plane?
But why were they
You
on the
know,
plane?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, Matt, why is this a thing? Every day I keep thinking this story will die.
Well-
and every day it's there.
Well, I mean, the Epstein files was, I mean, it was relatively a popular conspiracy theory even before, you know, recently. And I think it's just because Donald Trump, you know, when he ran on, you know, he was going to release the Epstein files and he was going to release the JFK files. And, you know, he never paid off on the Epstein files, so his supporters were real upset about that.
It's made him angry.
So then everybody started speculating that the reason he didn't release it and the reason that he's now saying that there is no list is because his name is all over the list.
Yeah, but what's surprising about this, I've never seen Donald Trump supporters get so angry at him about something as they are about this list.
I don't know why this is the thing that made him angry, but yeah.
This is the thing, Fran.
As I say, things change fast and furious every day, and I have lost track of what the Epstein list situation is all about.
Well, it's this horrible list, I guess, of people who did horrible things that this guy Jeffrey Epstein was involved in. But is it because he was killed? Is that I mean, or hung himself? I don't.
You know,
that's a whole nother thing.
And I got into it with, what was the man's name that, you know, he said that 1 minute. I said, you couldn't kill him in a minute.
Oh,
Not
yes,
like-
yes.
Remember that?
Yes, yes.
And I still don't think you could kill him in a minute with, you know, being hung.
Is that why this is a thing, that the murder or suicide is in question?
I don't know why.
Well, I
don't know.
Maybe, I don't know.
Fran, why in general do we love a good conspiracy theory? My God, 70 years later we're still talking about JFK, and we're never going to let that one lay.
That's right. This might be one of those other things that we're going to talk about too in the
I
next 7
know,
years.
I know.
You'll
Why?
be here, Scott.
Hopefully I'll still be here. But why, hopefully not talking about that for another 70 years, but why is it that's a thing? Why do we love a conspiracy theory? Why do we love that?
It's surprising and you know, it's the way I thought it was, and I told you so.
Yeah. I mean, Lucky and I was talking about, I mean, I just spoke at Primrose last week and talked about some people I interviewed, and it makes me think of people I've interviewed. You know, I interviewed the guy who was handcuffed to Oswald when he was assassinated. The guy, if you see the picture in the white cowboy hat.
Oh, yeah.
I interviewed him.
Did you?
Yeah, I thought I should have told that story last week when I was at Primrose.
You know, they loved you.
Oh, well, I
They
hope.
did. They did. And that was a wonderful speech. I learned things about you I didn't know.
Really?
Yes.
Really? I let it all go that day.
Well, about your getting started in school
Oh,
and
yeah.
how you decided what to do with your life. I didn't know that part of that. So
He's one of Marion's treasures.
yes,
Well,
yes, he is.
Depends on who you talk to.
Well, I tell you, I loved that speech, though. Yeah.
Well, the point of it, just a little bit for people, I am not a
Didn't you?
journalism major at all. I did not take any journalism classes. So basically, my message to people is sometimes you don't know what you're supposed to do.
What'd you major in?
Education. So I never took a journalism class, never took a broadcasting class, but lucked into it. And,
Well, that's what you were supposed to do.
Yes.
That's the way people find their place, usually. I mean, some never find their place. You were lucky and found yours.
Well, I don't think you thought about being...
Good Lord, no.
No, treasure.
I never thought of any of that.
Yeah. Didn't think that was your path.
I mean, people think that I grew up dreaming of doing all this. I had no idea.
One thing leads to another.
Yeah. You take what's put before you
Yes.
and you decide whether you want to do it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it depended on who was asking me. If certain people asked me and I thought it was important, then I would be interested. There was a lot of things put up to me that I thought weren't very good.
Yeah. Well, I think with all of us that way.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But you decide.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Fran, we talked earlier about the career you went into, great college basketball coaching career. Was that something you were thinking about when you were a kid? This is the path I'm going to
I think a little bit.
A little bit. So that was in your mind.
I think it wasn't maybe necessarily one of the things I was going to do, but I always thought, I think coaching would be pretty neat thing.
Did you play basketball?
I did, but I wasn't very good.
Uh-huh.
But it's a lot of times people that aren't good at something that could coach it pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we had a very interesting conversation earlier on with the Caitlin Clarks now in the WNBA.
Yeah.
Fran in the 70s and 80s coached a team that 71% win-loss record, women's basketball.
Oh, really?
Also holds the record to this day for attendance for a women's basketball game in that particular area. I mean, it was a big thing in those. And
It was.
And to think now where women's sports have come, women's basketball.
Yeah, they filled up the Boston Garden last night for Caitlin's game against Connecticut.
For somebody who was involved in women's basketball, Fran, what is it about Caitlin Clark? Because we've got to say, she's the Babe Ruth of it right now. She certainly is. She's drawing a crowd.
Well, she's kind of a magnet. I think people relate to her very well. She can do a lot of things, and she's fun to watch.
Why is she fun to watch?
Because she does a lot of fundamentals, I think, correctly. She can dribble, she can pass, she can shoot, she can catch. And I think people see so much of the athleticisms in the men's game, for instance. With her, you're looking at a basketball player.
To fill up the Boston Garden for a women's basketball game, that's a feat.
Yeah.
I don't know that would have been thought of.
Anywhere she goes, they fill it up.
They fill it up. They do. They have a crowd.
I mean, I know people have taken their daughters over to Indianapolis to see her.
Yeah. I mean, it's really... Mary Ellen, what do you make of women's sports now and the growth that they're having?
Oh, I think it's great. Yeah.
Why do you think it took so long?
Well, we couldn't get the gym only at 12 o'clock midnight.
That's right.
That doesn't work in the favor.
And, I had a girlfriend that was so into wanting to coach, and she made some wrong decisions, and it didn't work out.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. Well, you can't have a temper. That was her problem. She had a temper. You can't. I don't think you can be a coach and have a temper, but some people do.
You can have it, but you may not last.
Yeah.
Got to smooth that out.
Yeah. But she's still alive, and I'd like to see her. And I used to swim with her all the time, and that just reminded me of what I should be doing, maybe.
Matt, now you, what do you make? You like sports. What have you? Really, women's basketball is the one right now because of Caitlin Clark. She's appearing on all the magazines. She's getting the big salary, endorsements from all these companies.
Well, I think it's probably good in the long run. I think it's gonna level out the field. I think that the women just have men are kind of like have kind of like monopolized the television. So if you're gonna watch like a WNBA game, you kind of have to go out of your way, which works against them. So there is that. But also women's soccer is really big. Globally, women's soccer is huge.
Yes, it is.
They're doing they're doing great.
They are.
Do you always have to have a star before? I think about boxing now and how boxing has tapered off. But they had stars. As long as they had a star, they were okay. But when there were really no household names anymore, then boxing itself kind of leveled out. And it's hard to fill an arena.
Don't you think the WWF, or whatever it is, whatever they call that,
Yeah,
WWE now.
where they
WWE.
beat up
yeah.
each other,
Yeah.
they have stars.
Oh, they have stars. They're movie stars now. It's shocking.
I don't relate to it.
Yeah.
But I know it's big.
Well, no, I don't watch it anymore either. I watched it when I was younger, but they are movie stars. They are stars in movies. Like The Rock was a wrestler.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
They're filling arenas. My
Yeah.
goodness, they
Yeah,
are filling
they pack 'em
arenas.
in.
Pack them in.
For big bucks.
Yeah, I forget how many billions that company's worth right
yeah.
now, but it's billions.
Really?
And their Netflix contract, people have to pay to watch the programs now, and the Netflix bought just the streaming rights. The number was astronomical.
Oh, yeah.
Billions and billions.
Wrestling
Wrestling
is on Netflix.
is on Netflix now.
It's,
And here boxing, which was the thing for so long, Muhammad Ali and George Foreman and Joe Frazier and Mike Tyson. Now you couldn't fill. They have trouble filling high school gyms.
I think boxing's kind of been taken over by like the UFC. The UFC's really taken off.
Yeah.
They've got stars.
It's really the UFC has plenty of stars, and also they run like. It's not like storylines as far as like WWE storylines, but like they have like they do hype. It's all based on like hype. Those are the matches they go after. So they're just constantly driving in viewership.
and boxing isn't the only thing they do.
Yeah.
They're doing wrestling and the whole thing.
They do it. Well, I noticed the last time the Olympics came around for the first time, it did not seem like a great big thing. Usually when the Olympics happen every 4 years, boy, you hear about something. There's always a breakout. There's somebody. And people are staying up till 3 a.m. because of the time difference of wherever the Olympics is, and they're watching it. That last time, I don't remember that for whatever reason. But I don't know what's going on with the Olympics now. I don't know if that's seen as a yester thing.
It comes and goes.
Comes and goes, yeah.
It
Hopefully
does.
it'll rebound. Hopefully it'll rebound because I think the next one's in America.
Yeah.
It is.
Los
Well,
Angeles, I think.
Yeah.
Los Angeles.
Los
I mean,
Angeles.
Who thinks they're going to be ready for that?
Yeah, that could be trouble getting ready for that one. But well, and you were treasurer last time it was here when it was in Atlanta.
Yeah.
What, Paris,
How was that?
Paris did a nice job.
Yeah, Paris did do a nice job, I thought, with the
Oh,
Olympics.
yeah.
Oh, Paris caught some
Yeah.
flack
But they did a
for their opening ceremony thing.
Oh, I thought that was fabulous.
I thought it was
Standing up on top of the
Oh, my.
building or wherever she was. I thought, how did she do that?
Yeah.
It
and
was so
sing?
different.
How
It was
could you sing?
Very different.
You know, it's very interesting though. The year it was in, we've talked about this before, but the year it was in Atlanta, you know, the way they lit the Olympic torch.
Yeah.
You know, it was this torch was not put out, and it was ran by people all across the country. It was a big deal to be able to run the torch for a period. And the question was, well, who's gonna go from the final to light the torch? And all they would tell you was it was an Olympian.
Yeah.
That's all they would say.
Yeah.
And out of the darkness, there came Muhammad Ali,
Yeah.
and he's got Parkinson's,
Oh, I know.
and he's well into it at that point,
Yeah.
and he's shaking, but he's going, and
Yeah.
he carries that flame.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, that to me is the Olympic moment. That wow, that was people I mean, I saw announcers that night crying when they would come.
Really?
Oh, it was. I don't think anybody ever thought it would be him. After he threw his Olympic medals away
Yeah.
because of all the problems he had, he was in the midst of horrible Parkinson's at that point. There were 1,000 reasons it wasn't going to be him.
Yeah.
And there he was. There he was. And did it. Came out of the darkness. It was a moment. Really, the last big moment of his life was that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's the sad story of you met Muhammad Ali, and the picture.
I couldn't get the picture.
Never got the picture.
I said, I think the president got the picture.
The president was in that picture as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
He was not shaking when I was standing. I would have noticed if he was shaking, but he wasn't.
a lot of people with Parkinson's much better now than it was many
Really?
years. I think
Yeah.
so. I think so. Michael J. Fox, I think, still does pretty well.
I'm sure the medications are better.
Yeah, thank goodness
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
Fran and I talked earlier on about overcoming adversity. Mary Ellen, when you've had an adversity in your life, how do you overcome it?
Well, depends on what it is.
The day to day on those, huh?
Yeah, like, now what are you thinking about?
Anything. If it's something personally, if it's something job related, anything that's not fun to go through.
Well, if it's something you have to do, and you gotta just do it the best you can. Yeah, I've did a lot of those. Come to think of it.
Yeah. You have to go on.
Yeah. Well, in order to get where you want to go, you got to go through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we've talked before about when somebody writes a story that's untrue, that it comes out.
That's very disgusting.
Yeah.
I still am mad at certain people.
See, there you go. All these years later.
Yeah.
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 But you get through it.
Yeah.
You go through it.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, there's nothing else you can do. People are.
No, you just have. Well, I told you, Norman said I was going to have to put on my alligator suit.
That's about right.
Yeah.
Matt, what do you think? How do you, when you have any adversity in life, have you had any adversity in life at 21? Has there been an adverse moment yet?
Nothing absurdly.
Some of the moments with me,
things.
probably.
But no, I don't nothing major. Usually, I'll just I like to drive, so I'll go on a long car trip, or I'll listen to music or listen to an audiobook and follow along because I don't have I don't have the brain capacity to read. I have ADHD and then I just can't focus. But if I listen along and then read, it's fine. So
That's good.
that's also a good thing to.
Good for you, Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Keep your
read-
mind off of the things.
It doesn't hurt. Here's an interesting story from the past week. Amal and George Clooney have a strict phone policy in their house. No phones. They say it protects their home, it keeps people focused on what's going on, and it protects their privacy. In this world of phones, Fran, where everybody's got a phone and we're all looking at it all the time and you can do 1,000 different things with it, what do you think? How do you get away from that? How do we still have a conversation?
Well, I would like to get my land phone taken away. I don't know why I don't, but it's still there.
It's still there.
It rings and it's spam risk. I haven't met that person. I'm looking for it.
Looking for. So how you still are able to put down the phone, right, and have a conversation with somebody because his focus is
Yeah, I
important.
do. I
Yeah.
do. I don't. It's very impolite. Phones can cause those kind of things, those awkward times. When it rings and if I'm with somebody or I'm having dinner or lunch or whatever, I dismiss my phone as soon as I can.
Yeah. Mary Ellen, what do you obviously get phone calls and things of that nature. How do you separate and focus in on people?
Well, it's not hard. I don't answer any number that I don't recognize anymore because I was hacked a few times.
Yeah.
And so I'm very cautious. And good luck. Yesterday I answered this phone number that I didn't recognize, and it was somebody I wanted to talk to and hadn't heard from for a long time. Just didn't know his phone number. He worked at Treasury, and I was so glad to talk to him. Yeah.
So nice.
Yeah, well, it's nice to catch up with people.
Yeah.
So there is that. I mean, that's the convenience of it all. But do you notice talking to people who are, maybe your grandkids, they have a tough time with this? Can they put the phones down and pay attention?
I think mine can. I think it's
Well, that's
because they're training at home.
Well, see, and I think that's what
Yeah.
George Clooney's saying here,
Yeah.
is that at home he's got to have a phone policy to not have it out there. Protect his privacy, which I guess when you're famous like that, you have to do that. But it focuses people in on each other and not on the phone all the time. Matt, what do you think? You've never lived in a world where there weren't phones.
I lived in a world where there were like, if you wanted to use the internet, you had to go to a computer. I mean, I was still young at that point, like very young at that point in time. But I mean, I was there. Like my parents still had flip phones and like that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I just, I don't know. I think that phones have largely ruined people's social abilities. So there is that. But I don't think it's too difficult. I mean, like I'll check my phone on breaks, but that's just because my mom or something might message me. But typically, it's nothing like important. But there was a point in that, but I feel like I just rambled on now.
Well, see, but no, it's interesting because it kind of brings us back to where we were in the beginning of this, because Governor DeWine has now said that there are going to be no cell phones in schools.
Oh, I think that's probably
And
for the best.
Well, but
I think schools have had some policy up till now. I really do.
they have. But
I don't think this is. I don't think this is going to be any
Well,
Yeah.
major thing.
I don't know. I mean, at River Valley, I know you couldn't have your phone when you were in elementary or middle school, but in high school, and if you were like transitioning between classes, they let you have your phone, but you weren't allowed to have your phone in class.
I just don't know. I wonder now, because my understanding of this policy, and maybe it'll change, I think it takes effect January 1st, 2026, but you have to have some kind of I mean, there are exceptions, but you got to have some kind of policy for the whole district. And I don't know how you do that, especially when you're in high school, because some classes allow you to use your phone for certain things. So are you constantly going to your locker? This class doesn't allow you to have it, this class does. And I don't even know how. I mean, boy, teachers, if you have 25 or 30 students in your class and you're trying to fight with every one just to start the class, to put the phone down, I mean, that's going to take a tremendous amount of getting used to. I don't know. It's going to be an interesting conversation to have in these districts, I think.
Well, I'm anxious to see what happens with the Browns situation and DeWine giving them the unclaimed funds.
The $600 million.
Yeah.
For the stadium.
I want to see
yeah.
what happens there.
How did that happen? I mean, that's
I don't
interesting.
know,
Well-
but I thought that was really something.
I don't know exactly how it happened, but typically, the Browns would say, I want a new stadium, and they didn't want to pay for it, so they would go to the city and be like, hey, you want to pay for this? And then if the city said no, then Cleveland would just be like, all right, then we'll go find a city that will pay for it.
Yeah, but that happened once before. That
Yeah,
happened with
it
Art
did.
Modell, and
Yeah.
they left in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
But I don't understand how DeWine got involved
I
in
know,
this. I don't
that-
know how the governor.
Well, I think there's probably been some political overtures there.
Something
you?
happened.
Well, I think so. Don't you think that he's supporting? Don't you think the owners of the Browns have been
Yeah,
supporting
but
some
that's
of the?
unclaimed funds. You
I
can't
know.
do it.
Oh, yeah.
He did.
But I'm
There
talking
it went.
about the campaign
Oh, yeah.
monies
Yeah.
that they probably
Well,
get.
that part,
That
yeah.
swings things a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah, it does.
But I'm like you. From where are you taking that money from?
Yeah,
What if somebody comes and wants to claim that money now?
yeah. It's not there.
It's gone.
Yeah.
I didn't understand how that's all going to work out. And I mean, what does that say? Now, what if the Reds want a new stadium? What if the...
I think he's planning on doing that.
For everybody.
I think
Jeez.
he wants to do
Oh,
that.
that's good. I mean, it's good tax revenue. So, I mean, there's that. I mean, in the long run, you probably will make more than you're going to spend.
Nationwide Arena is going to do a complete
Yeah.
overhaul.
update? But I don't know what precedent it sets with all these big venues we have, that if you lean on the governor a little bit and say, listen, you need to pay for this.
Yeah.
I never heard of that. Usually it's the tax dollars. The city votes. Do they
Yeah.
want to pay for it? Do they not? and that's what goes on.
I didn't know that DeWine had anything to do with it until now, honestly.
Well, he jumped on in there.
Tonight?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He did.
Well, I don't know how. I just, that is so weird that a governor would get involved in that. I don't know what. I mean, did he really think this was going to hurt the state tremendously? And are the Browns threatening to leave? I hadn't heard that.
And the other thing he did is do away with the state teachers board, and I can't understand how he got away with that one.
Well, and the state teacher retirement
Yeah.
is also a situation
That was
where
a mess.
They have changed the board from
Yeah.
being the teachers to another outside board.
Yeah. And what's that doing to the teachers? You know?
I don't think it's right because it's their pension.
Yeah, I thought he did some strange things.
Yeah. Well,
Well, Kasich got into a big dust-up with the teachers over the union and all that, and it didn't go well for Kasich. But I don't hear an outcry yet. Maybe there'll be one. Were the Browns threatening to leave?
I don't know that.
I never heard it.
I mean,
don't know.
I don't know that they did threaten to leave, but I mean, I know that
Yeah.
like it's happened that way before.
Yeah.
It's surprising to me because usually people are making revenue. I know the Browns are making revenue where they are. So it's just that the governor, a lot of times private businesses have jumped in there and said, I'll do something.
Well, that's why you got like
that didn't happen.
Heinz Field.
Right. Where were the big money people?
The rest of my family really cares about the Browns. I don't.
Not a Browns fan. No. Well, I think about a place like Ohio State. You know, they obviously have the money to do what they need to do.
Yeah.
But here it's this pro team, which is all revenue, that doesn't seem to have the money to do. And that stadium's not that old. Didn't they build it when the Browns came back? I think so.
I thought it was not that old.
No, I don't think it's that old.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure Ohio State's got some things in mind that they would like to maybe think about doing
Yeah.
for publicity, not publicity, but for promotional purposes, whether they rename Ohio Stadium. I mean, I don't know if that's out of the question.
It wouldn't. I can't see why it would be. And you have the lieutenant governors, the former coach, Jim Dressel.
Yeah.
What'd you make of that? Isn't that interesting?
I think he's a good person for that job. I really do.
Do you think he'll run for governor?
I don't know that. Not sure.
He seems to be on the fence on that one.
Yeah, it does.
I was interesting, and it was interesting what you had to say about him in the speech.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
You know, that's the only thing in that speech that I thought, boy, this is going to be unpopular. Because the question was, somebody from the audience asked, who was somebody that I interviewed that I thought was not nice?
Yeah.
And Jim...
Was that Leslie that asked you that?
It might have been. But no, it was the first interview I did with Jim Dressel. He was very snippy. I mean, he had just went through all that drama at Ohio State, and I asked him about it, and he wasn't very happy about that. No. But he has done 2 interviews with me since then, and he's been fine during those interviews. Yeah. So I think it was just a bad interview. But he's an interesting fellow. I'll say that. He's an interesting fellow. I asked him if he was going to run for office in the last interview we did in 2022, and he said no.
That's a long time ago, though.
Right, it doesn't take long. In the political world, you can change your mind.
Well, he wasn't in the political world then.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'll tell you, just locally here, quickly, before we run out of time, Monday was a big night at City Council.
Was it?
Oh, Lord, yes. It was 3 big issues here in Marion. Are we going to become a charter city?
Yeah.
And that was overturned and sent back to committee. So maybe we'll see it again next year, but it's not going to happen this year.
Oh, good. That's good.
Charter city got put away.
Are you for that, Mariella?
No, I'm against charters. I was state treasurer when Akron was doing the charter, and it was the worst mess you ever saw. They had a terrible time. It took them so long to get it straightened out. It just wasn't worth it.
Wow.
You know, you want want your treasurer and your auditor and the regular people in their positions, and they do their job, everything's going to be fine. If everybody's doing their job in Marion, they wouldn't be thinking about this.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that right now, that's not going to happen this year. It got sent
Yeah.
back to committee.
Okay.
As far as Can Do goes, the economic development program here in Marion, that's tabled right now through August 11th. The city doesn't know what they're going to do with that yet. The mayor says he's going to present something on August 11th, maybe somebody who will work directly for the city instead of working for Can Do. We'll find out on August 11th. And the biggest thing was the proposed transit fare hike. And in one of the most interesting things, I'm not even sure if it was legal. I don't know. I really don't know. The law director wasn't quite sure. The transit department wanted to raise the fees on transit, and city council in the meeting said they proposed a motion that city council has to approve any transit raise, and city council voted 9-0 that yes, they were going to do that. So I don't believe we're going to see a transit fare raise because most people were against it. But does City Hall have the power, or City Council have the power to do that? I don't know, but they did it on Monday, and I guess we'll find out in the weeks to come.
So they defeated it.
They defeated. They said we're not raising the rates at this point. So highly unlikely. I think we're going to see that happen. Well, this was a fun episode in our last minute.
Yeah.
It was great to see you, Mary Ellen. Great to
Yeah.
see you, Fran. Great to get together, Matt, and talk about all these things going on. Always a pleasure.
Nice to meet Matt.
Yeah,
Nice
absolutely.
to meet with Mary Ellen and
Yes.
Scott. You're the best.
Well, thank you,
He,
Fran.
he
Always good.
is the best.
He's the
Well,
best.
Yeah.
thank you both for coming. It's been a pleasure today. Scott Spears heading for the dugout.